it's Mrs. Jones. Oh, I'm so excited to be reading you some more of The Lemonade War. We're on chapter 3. I can't wait to read it. I've been catching up and loving on this new awesome bookmark. So let me start it off for you. Chapter 3 is called Joint Venture. Your sister is really, Evan, zip it. Huh? Just zip it. She's okay. She just doesn't look, she's okay. Okay, said Scott, holding up his free hand to show how he meant peace. Evan was getting sorry, I got stuck, hold on. Evan was getting abused on both sides with a heavy cooler, which means he's getting bonked around. It was banging against his inside of his leg every step, with the plastic cups or scraping against his outside leg. Bruised and bloody, he thought to himself, all the fun of hanging out with Scott Spencer. Why couldn't Jack have been home, or Ryan? Or why did Adam have to be at the Cape this week? Oh, it stunk. How far are we walking? Grunted Scott. Just to the corner. Evan watched as the drops of sweat fell off his face and landed on the very hot sidewalk. We should have stayed in the driveway. It was shaded there. The corner's better. Trust me, said Evan. He remembered when Jesse had said the same words to him last summer. They were setting up a lemonade stand together, and even he had been grumbling about dragging the cooler across the street and down 2 houses, just like Scott. But Jessie had insisted. There's sidewalks on that side, she'd said. So we'll get foot traffic coming from both directions. And the people in the cars coming around the curve will have time to see us and slow down. Besides, there are a bunch of little kids on that side of the street, and their mothers won't want them crossing the street. There's a corner's always better, trust me. And she was right. They made a ton of money that afternoon. It took 10 seconds to set up that lemonade stand. Evan unfolded the chairs and set one on each side of the cooler. Scott he tilted the sign toward the street for maximum effect. They both sat down. Man, it's hot, said Evan. He took off his baseball cap and wiped that sweat from his face with his shirt. Then he grabbed the ice cube from the cooler, balanced it on his head, and then stuck it back on. Yeah, said Scott, I'm thirsty. He reached into the paper bag and pulled out a cup. Oh, it was one of those large red plastic cups that vendors use at like the professional baseball games. Then Scott took one of the pitchers from the cooler and filled it to the brim with lemonade. Hey, not so much, said Evan, pouring himself a cup too, but only part way. He glugged it down. Not bad, he thought, though he had noticed a dead fruit fly floating at the top. His mom had been battling a mad fruit fly infestation ever since the weather had turned really warm. Near the kitchen sink area where they kept the fruit bowl. Scott drained his cup and tossed it off again. That was good. I'm going to have another. Evan reached for the trash cup and stowed it under his seat. No, come on. You're going to drink all our profits if you do that. He stretched his legs out, putting his feet on top of the cooler. Just chill. I'm going to chill by having another cup, said Scott. There it was, that mean bite as Scott's voice. Evan's shoulders tensed up. Oh, move your feet, said Scott. It's hot out here. Move your feet. Dude, Evan said as he sat up sorry, let me try that again. Dude. Evan sat up unexpectedly and looked down the street. Hey, here comes our first customer. A mother pushing a double stroller came into view. At the same time, one of the kindergartners from down the street rode their bike up and noticed the sign and quickly pedaled back to her house. Within 5 minutes, there was a small crowd of neighborhood kids and pedestrians buying lemonades from our stand. Evan let Scott handle all the money while he took care of pouring and the sweet talking. That's what his mother called it when a salesperson chatted her up. Trust me, she had once told Evan and Jesse, buying something is only half about getting something. The other half is about human contact. Miss Tretzky knew about these things because she was a public relations consultant. She had even written a booklet called The Bright Ideas to Light Up Your Sales for one of her clients. And Evan was like her. He was good at talking to people, even grown-ups. It was easy for him, so he kept the conversation flowing along with the lemonade. People hung around. Most of them bought a second cup before they even left. Evan was so busy he had almost didn't even notice Jessie flying out of her garage on her bike, riding down the street toward town. Good riddance, he had thought, but at the same time he wondered, where was she going? During the lull in business, Evan walked all around the stand, picking up the discarded plastic cups, and Scott had just sat in his chair, jingling his coins in his pocket. Man, we're going to be rich, said Scott. I bet we made $5 already. I bet we made 10. How much do you think we made? Evan shrugged. He looked at the stack of used cups in his hand, counted all of the rims. 14. They'd sold 14 cups so far, and each cup of lemonade cost 50 cents. Evan heard Miss DeFonzo's voice in his ear, thinking, oh, his third grade teacher. She had done everything she could to help him with his math. If 1 cup of lemonade sells for 50 cents and you sell 14 of them, how much money would you have? Word problems. Evan did not like word problems, and this one was impossible anyway. He was pretty sure the right equation was 14 times 50. It's cool because they wrote it in the book. But how was he supposed to solve that? Was that double-digit multiplication? There was no way he could do that problem like that. And besides, some of those 14 people had bought refills but used the same cup. I mean, how many? Evan didn't know. Still, he knew they'd make a pretty good amount of money. That estimate was close enough for him. How much do you think we would make if we sold all of it? Asked Scott. I don't know. Maybe $20. That sounded high, even to him. But Evan was optimistic. Do you really think it was $20? Both boys looked in the cooler. 3 pictures. Sorry, I'm reading kind of fast. Let me slow down and try that again. Both boys looked at the cooler. 3 pitchers were empty. They only had half pitchers of lemonade left, like a big pourers. You're pouring the cups too full, said Scott. You gotta pour less in each cup. You're the one who brought these huge plastic cups that couldn't fit. You could fit a gallon in these. Oh, that's because I didn't want to be chintzy. They're paying a whole half $1 for this. They deserve a whole cup. And anyways, we can't just go home and make more. My mom says cans of lemonade. Oh, my mom has cans of lemonade in the freezer. So go home and make more, said Scott. Oh, yes, Your Majesty. Oh, High Commander. Why don't you go make it? Because I'm chilling, said Scott, leaning back in his chair. With a big grin on his face. Even he was just joking. But this was exactly why he didn't like Scott. He was always thinking of himself, always looking for some way to come out on top. If they were playing knockout, Scott always comes up with a new rule that helped them win the game. If they were doing an assignment together, Scott always figured out how to divide it, so he had less work to do. The kid seemed like he was always thinking up things. No 2 ways about it. But everyone else was out of town. Evan didn't want to spend the day alone, and Jessie was on the yucky list, as Mom called it when the dog did something it wasn't supposed to do. Evan crossed the street and went into the house. He was surprised to find that there were no more cans of lemonade in the freezer. Eek! Wow, there have been so many this morning. Luckily, there was a can of grape juice in the freezer and a bottle of ginger ale in the fridge. It'll work, he thought. People just want a cold drink. They don't care if it's lemonade. He mixed up the grape juice at the sink, and the fruit flies were more out of control than ever. Thanks to the lemonade the boys had dribbled on the countertop. Evan swatted at a couple, but most of them drifted off of his reach and settled into the fruit bowl. He wished his mother believed in chemical warfare, meaning like he could get rid of them. But she liked all natural things, so that was not happening. When he went back outside to the lemonade stand, Evan noticed that the last pitcher was turned upside down on the cooler. Oh, come on, Scott, he said. What? It's hot. And you said we could always make more. Yeah, well, we didn't have as much in the house as I thought. I've got grape juice and ginger ale. Ugh, I don't even like ginger ale, Scott said. I wouldn't give you a penny for that. It turned out that a lot of people felt the same way. Business had definitely slowed down. Fanning himself, Evan asked, how much money do you really think we could make? I don't know, said Scott, pushing at his baseball cap. I mean, it's a hot day like this. And Evan silently said, maybe tomorrow. If we sold 8 pitchers of lemonade, what do you think we'll make? 8 pitchers? I don't know. Too hot for math, and it's summer. Oh, Evan pulled the red pen out of his pocket and started to write on his palm. 8 times question mark, 8 times 50 divided by 2, question mark. Oh, that didn't seem right. Jessie would know. She'd do that math in just a second. Evan grabbed the pen and jammed it into his pocket. But it's a lot, said Evan. I bet on a hot day like this, we could actually make some real money in the lemonade business. Yeah, said Scott. Then we'd be rich. Then we could even buy an Xbox. I'd get an iPad, said Evan. He's been saving for one for over a year. But every time he had some money put away, well, it just, disappeared. Like when his grandma gave him $10, she even had written on the card, here's a little something to help you get the music thing you want. But the money was gone. He treated Paul and Ryan to slices of pizza. I mean, he did have fun though. It would be so great to listen to music whenever I want to, said Evan. I could tune you out, he added, thinking in his head. They sat in silence, feeling the heat suck every bit of energy out of them. Evan was hatching up a plan. The heat wave was supposed to last at least 5 days. If he and a friend, maybe not Scott, set up a lemonade stand every day for 5 days, they definitely had enough to buy an iPad. He imagined himself wearing it as he walked to school, wearing it on the playground, like, hey, Megan, check out my iPad. Sweet, huh? Wearing it in class when his teacher droned about fractions and percentages. Nah, but it would be so cool. At least there'd be one thing that didn't really stink. After 2 hours, they decided to call it quits. Sales had dropped off fast and they had stopped altogether. What, said Scott. When we started to stand, most of our business came from that direction. He pointed down the street to the curve on the road, but after an hour, not one person walked past that direction or bought a cup. No one, they said. No thanks. Why do you think? Don't know, said Scott. Boy, you're a real go-getter, said Evan. You know that. Scott socked him. Oh, sorry. Let me slow down yet again. Don't read too fast. Here we go. Scott had socked him, thinking, oh man, that's not cool, in the cap. Well, Scott was scrambling for his hat after it had fallen off his head. Just hang here for a minute. And they set off down the street. As soon as they rounded the curve, he knew why business had fallen off so bad. There was Jessie and Megan from class. They were standing inside a wooden booth with their sign and all that said, lemonade, 50 cents. Uh-oh. Apologies, my pages are stuck together. Hold, please. By the looks of it, their business was booming. Evan watched as Jessie accepted a fistful of dollar bills from a mother surrounded by all kids. At that moment, Jessie looked up and saw him. Evan had a weird feeling, like he'd been caught cheating on a test. He wanted to run and hide somewhere. Instead, he just froze. What would Jessie do? Evan couldn't believe it. She snared at him. She cocked her head like this. And gave him a little, I'm so much better than you smile, because she had thought of a lemonade stand. Look how much we've made selling lemonade, but you can't beat that. Evan turned on his foot or heel and walked away behind him. He could hear Megan laughing at him, he thought, clear as a bell. Thanks for listening. It was really hard to read fast enough to get this to record.